Thank you for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. I'm your host, Lorenzo Melcher, back in Parents' Basement Studios, PB Studios. It's been a couple weeks. We did a couple Zoom podcasts, which, helps that I can interview someone in Denver easy. So that was nice. As I say every week, thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, downloading to the podcast, doing whatever you can to help the podcast grow. My TikTok followers, we're almost at 400. So I had a pretty good week. All the social media and stuff I've been doing is paying off. Again, YouTube subscribers too. I was really wanting to get to 200 earlier in the summer, and I hit that, and now I'm well into the 220s. So that's awesome too. So thank you for all of you doing that. If you are seeing, wherever you're listening to this or watching it, rate and review it there. For some reason, my podcast isn't that big, and I'm 4.6 stars on Spotify, so somebody doesn't like it apparently. So if you could help out and rate the podcast wherever you're listening to this, that'd be awesome. If you want to be on a podcast, email the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com or message any of the social medias. So thank you for everything you do, and enjoy the episode.
Hi, I'm Yaw Bonsu, and this is the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Awesome, Yao. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Such a pleasure. I said before it was weird that I'm on this end as opposed to interviewing the athletes and coaches, but it's nice to be able to reflect and talk about things every once in a while.
Yeah. It's I've been seeing some of your TikToks too. As someone I've been trying to do it, religiously
it's hard
for 6
to
months.
navigate. I gotta say, because I don't consider myself like a content creator by any stretch of the imagination, but you want to get your work out there, especially the things that are creative. So it's a work in progress, my TikTok page.
Yeah, but I do like it because I used to do stand-up comedy, and I think the best part of it is being self-deprecating. And you're like, when you can show the clips of like people making fun of you or you doing something silly or whatever. Like, I like that part of it too. Like,
I gotta get more of those clips because we do some funny stuff during the show. Maybe I slip up in a way that makes me laugh the rest of the show. So actually, that's a great idea. I'm gonna do that more. Do that more.
People like that kind of stuff, But thanks again for coming on here.
Of course.
The first question I always ask people is, what is something you're nerding out about? Something you're really into, something to get you away from the daily grind of what you're doing.
That's a great question to start off. Video games.
Yeah?
Video games. When I was younger, maybe elementary school, I was big into Nintendo.
Okay.
Nintendo DS, Mario Kart, Mario Party, all of that.
Yeah.
But then when I got into, I want to say 5th grade, middle school, I got big into PlayStation.
Okay.
PlayStation Vita, PlayStation 4 and all that, especially early high school.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. I used to rush home from soccer practice, turn on some Call of Duty, 2K, Killzone Mercenary, whatever the game is. I loved video games. And now, junior, senior year, when I tried to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, I started playing video games less. But even now, I'm off Monday, Tuesdays. I try to play college football 26 as much as I can. You want to talk about getting away from the grind? I turn on my PS5 now.
Yeah.
That's the spot. And even when I was younger, I had a whole group of friends. We called ourselves the Burger Squad.
Yeah. Wait, why?
Honestly, I mean, because when somebody sucks at video games, you call them a burger.
Oh,
right?
okay.
But it turned into Burger Squad, and then we had people in Boston, people in Cali, Texas, and then we all used to come together and play all these games, especially 2K. So I miss them a lot because it was that was the most relaxing thing. I mean, we raged a lot, I screamed a lot, and I stayed up late a lot playing video games. But as far as getting away from tests and college and all that, video games was always and still is probably a safe haven.
My son, who's 14, he screams and yells a lot with his friends.
Yeah.
He just bought the new 2K.
Yep.
So he's been playing that. Every once in a while, I'll hear from his room upstairs, and one!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It gets personal, and it gets loud, and it's a blast. Because especially back in like 2K 16, 17, you're in the park, and you're trying to level up and get to the legend rank. Everybody's trying to grind there.
Yeah.
So when you get there, I still have the video on Snapchat of me getting legend. I'm like, let's go. I screamed as loud as possible. Parents are pissed at me, and that's okay. But video games. Oh man, I miss those days.
Has it always been sport video games and Call of Duty, but sports?
Yeah, mainly sports because I'm a sport guy.
Yeah.
I can never get away from sports. It's just if you told me I had to go a whole day without consuming sports content, it'd be impossible.
Yeah.
It really can. You can't avoid it. It's just like as an average male, it feels like you just have to be involved in sports in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Even if you don't play sports or like sports, let's say you're a musical kid, sports are going to be involved in a musical somehow. There's some type of athleticism involved. So I think everybody gets involved in sports, and it's something you can't get away from.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved sports since I was little. And it's funny because a lot of times it's like, especially now I'm coaching, like, oh, my dad played football or mom did volleyball or whatever. My parents didn't play sports in high school. My dad was he just went to school, and my mom was in the band, and my older brother was into sports. I'm into sports. My youngest sister played sports too, and it's one of those things where we're trying to navigate this stuff without like a little bit of parents like, oh, here's how you do it, or here's this or that, But they were super involved. My dad coached my baseball team for forever, and that's now why since my son's 14, since he was like 3, I've been coaching something with either my son or my daughter because I love sports. I love the competition. I love teaching, right?
Yeah, the competition of it, the lessons that you learn, the losing helps you a lot, the winning helps you a lot. The practices are fun. The pasta parties before every home game. That's something my soccer team did in high school. Yep. That was a blast. We used to joke with each other a lot, and you build genuine relationships too. It's something you can't replicate it anywhere else, honestly, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And we try to, like, I run a staff I work for the Metro Parks, and the staff I have is we call each other teammates and go help your teammate.
Exactly.
Go help this.
Any form of life where you're working with people, you call each other teammates. And any skill that you can implement in sports, you're probably going to bring to a business job or a job in the Metro Parks or a job in a newsroom or a job in a medical field, whatever it is. So, it teaches you so much.
So let's go back to you're playing college football now, video games. So I was devastated when they stopped it in 2014.
I never played it back then. That's the thing. So this was my last year was my first introduction of it. Everybody had like the nostalgia feeling and everything, but this is my first introduction. It's a blast. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's all the video games my friends and I played. There was even a college basketball game for a couple years that we played. College baseball was great because my friends at the time played baseball at Bowling Green, so they were in the game. So that was cool for us.
That's dope. That's dope.
So when it stopped, and after a while, you're just like, well, I guess it's never coming back. And then the rumors started. Like, all my friends were like, oh, we are getting this thing. And then for me, it's even better because now my son's into video games, so we can play together. But I don't know what it is about. I think I like the recruiting part of it is my favorite part. I do play I like playing the football games too. I just feel like the ending, like it's too long for a season. So right now I'll go in and out playing that, but I play a lot of Fortnite because it's like, all right, I can play for 10 minutes, play one game, and if I'm done, I'm done. But there's a lot.
In 1 week, quote unquote, in college football in dynasty mode, you have to recruit, you got to train, you got to upgrade your coach. It's that could take an hour alone, especially if you're like a smaller program trying to build yourself up. It's a while to all right, I want to spend 25 hours here, 10 hours here, 5 hours here. It's a lot to navigate. But again, when I'm off on Monday, Tuesday, not doing anything, that takes up 6, 7, 8 hours of my day. I don't mind because it's fun, and then I get to have my laptop open, watch some Netflix while playing college football. It's a blast. It's a blast.
I remember I had an Xbox 360. I was living down in Bowling Green with my friends, and I put a bunch of music on there. So I would listen to music while I was playing whatever video game I was playing, and that's something like I don't do it now because I don't know. I just don't do it. But I just remember listening just to my favorite music, playing video games, sometimes alone in my bedroom. But it was just video games have been a huge part of my life since I think my grandparents had an Atari. Right?
It takes you away from everything else. That's the thing.
Especially if you can put headphones on now.
Yeah. I mean, my parents know not to bother me when I'm in front of the TV screen. My siblings know not to bother me. It's like my parents would call me down. They're like, oh, I need you to like turn on the cooker or turn on the pan real quick. I'm just like, oh. I mean, it takes 2 seconds. I'm just like, I'm in my groove right now. We're streaking in 2K. I'm on a 20-game winning streak in Park. I gotta keep my juice and keep my flow going, but sometimes those things just throw a wrench in the plan. So that's all right. That's all
right. Where did you grow up?
New York. Yeah. Okay. So consider Ohio culture shock.
Yeah.
Right. So I was born in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Moved to Long Island at the age of 5 to begin schooling and everything. I went to college my freshman year at Syracuse. Okay. So that's like the mecca of sports broadcasting.
Yeah. Okay.
But then it's also very expensive. So I transferred to Hofstra University, which is 10 minutes away from home.
Yeah.
A lesser known broadcasting school, but 40 minutes away from New York City with a train. So I got to have all these opportunities, like 12 internships or whatnot. It was a blast. But growing up on Long Island, I miss it now that I'm not there. I didn't appreciate it as much. I mean, I still explored and everything. I socialized, but now that I'm not there anymore, it's like, wow, I really miss the hustle and bustle and traffic and train delays. I'm leaving my house 2 hours early. It was a grind, but it was a grind that I didn't know how much I loved until I left.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of times that happens. I think we talked about it a couple podcasts ago where it is like, this is my hometown, and you don't. All kids, I feel like, want to leave wherever they're. It doesn't matter where they're from. They just don't want to be there, and some make it back, and some, like you, appreciate way more when you're gone. You know.
Yeah.
So,
and even the people that I grew up with, they're still there. I'm in one of the only professions where you pretty much are forced to leave. Because the way the industry works, it's a market system. New York is the number one market, followed by LA, Chicago, Philly, Boston. San Francisco's in there, Washington, D.C., Atlanta. I think that makes up the top 10.
Okay.
I think I said Boston already. So those are the top markets. You have to work your way to get back up there. Those are the highest paid people. Those are usually the best people, especially in sports. There are not many jobs to begin with. So you have to move to Grand Rapids, which is where I started, Market 42. And I'm here at Toledo, Market 81, I believe. So it's a grind to get back to those big cities.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's if this is something you love to do, this is something
You'll
you
do
have to
whatever it
do,
takes, yeah.
right? Yeah,
You'll do whatever it takes.
It doesn't mean it's easy,
Yeah.
right? You know, it's hard. So when you're a little kid growing up, I've never really been to a big city. I've never been to New York. Like, my in-laws live in Buffalo, or my in-laws are from Buffalo, so we'll go up there just outside of Buffalo, Albion, New York, real small town. So we go up there a little bit. Whenever I say my wife's from New York, they're like, New York? I go,
upstate New York
Yeah.
and downstate New York, two different places. Still New York, but people know
the state of
New York. Yeah, exactly, the state of New York. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. So growing up, I picture little kids like being able to navigate all that stuff by themselves because that's just how they are. Like, at what point were you just going to school by yourself?
Man, at what point? Really, fourth grade?
Okay.
Fourth grade, I want to say, because I lived down the block from my elementary school. So maybe even third or fourth, my parents would just trust me to walk to school on my own.
Yeah.
And in fifth grade, my elementary school closed down after fourth grade. So I had to go to a different school, but that school was still in walking range. It was right next to the high school.
Oh, okay.
So I used to walk to school, even again on my own.
Yeah.
So from there through middle school and high school, I grew more independent as the years went on. My parents didn't really like it because I am more of a reserved person.
Okay.
At the beginning of high school, I was more expressive. You know, if there was a party on a Saturday, I don't drink or smoke or anything like that, but if there was a party on a Saturday with great music in a backyard, I'd go.
Yeah.
But junior, senior year, when I started to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, that's when I became more reserved and started kind of depending on myself a bit more and try to, you know, for lack of a better term, grind to get to where I am now. That's when kind of my mentality started to shift a little bit.
And that mentality shift, what did you see where you're like, ooh, that's what I want to do?
Yeah, so I took a college and career planning class the fall of my junior year. And we were researching schools. And at that point, I'm not somebody who knew I wanted to be a broadcaster as a kid.
Okay.
Again, I was into video games. I was in honor society, but I didn't really care about school like that. So one of the assignments in that college and career planning class was, all right, research a school that you'd want to go to. By that point, I know I want to do broadcasting. So I searched Syracuse University, and it said something like a 3.5 GPA on average for the students. And that clicked something in my head because I was like, well, I don't have that right now. So I have to do a whole bunch of extracurriculars. So I joined National, FBLA, Foundation, Business Leaders of America, something like that.
Okay.
So FBLA I joined. I joined a whole bunch of community service organizations, Key Club, National Honor Society, kept doing soccer, kept doing all these little things, a lot of business challenges too, to stack my resume and boost my resume. So from there, that's when the mentality started to shift. That's what I kind of saw, that 3.5 GPA, and I was like, all right, yeah, if I know I'm not going to have the grades, I better be doing everything else right. So from there, you know, I didn't go out as much. I only played video games on the weekends, if even. So I tried to dedicate myself as much as possible to the craft. And at that point, it was the craft of extracurriculars. Because I knew if I could stack that up, that once I did an interview for Syracuse University, which I did in New York City, that I would be fine.
Okay. So was it a big shift where whether it was your friends or your family, are like, hey, something's not necessarily negative, but something's going on? Like
Yeah, it was. They kept questioning, like, where are you at? And then eventually they stopped asking. It's like, yeah, I'm just like, guys, I just want to be alone.
Yeah.
Like even now during work, I'm kind of like a more reserved person.
Okay.
I just want to handle my business, and I want to come in, handle my business, do it to the best of my ability. 'Cause that's the biggest worry. I don't want to be the guy who like jokes a lot and then has an inferior product at the end of the day. I want to make sure I have everything straight, and then we could joke around and all that. So in high school, it's like, yeah, guys, I'm sorry, but I got to make sure I do this assignment. I got to make sure I do this field trip. I missed a lot of class in high school, junior and senior year, just off field trips. I had a math teacher that would be livid because I love the business department there. I never wanted to do business as a career, but it was so fun doing like mock interview competitions and coming up with a pretend business and being on the pitch team for that and whatnot. So it was a lot. But I knew what the expectation was for myself. I knew the standard I was holding myself to, which it was a drastic shift from freshman, sophomore year, which I was a bit more carefree. But junior, senior year, once I locked in, I locked in.
Sure.
And I believe in a saying, you're the product of the 3-4 people you hang around the most. So I kind of had to remove myself from certain circles. Not that those people were bad. I mean, those are still my boys and, my homegirls at the end of the day. But I knew there was a place I wanted to be that didn't really maybe align with other people, so I had to take initiative and kind of grind it out on my own.
When you were going through, you mentioned looking at Syracuse as like, hey, I need a 3.5. Where were you at that point? Like what was the freshman sophomore like?
Probably like a 3.
Okay, so
I was like a B student. Yeah, it wasn't terrible.
Okay,
like I don't want to come off like, oh, I cut class, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
I didn't dedicate as much time to the coursework as I wanted to. What did I worry about freshman, sophomore year? Hanging out with my friends on the weekends, playing soccer, and if there was a fun class, then focus on that one class. And then video games, of course.
Sure.
Like I was big on those things. And I'm glad that I grew the wherewithal to get away from that. But at the end of the day, you could control it, but I just wanted to have fun freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah. I mean, and I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think anybody would have faulted you if you would have stayed the way you were. You had a year 3.0. Maybe you ended up going somewhere else and doing something else. I think the mentality you had as a freshman, sophomore, then changed as a junior, senior. Like it was from like good to great. Like it wasn't from, so I don't think anybody would have faulted you for the continuing the path you were on, but you knew exactly what you needed to do. So you knew how to get there.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of effort because it's the human. Nick Saban used to say this. I love Nick Saban quotes. He said, it's the human condition to be average, right? We're taught to just do the things that'll just get us by. It takes a special type of individual to go above and beyond and do certain things. Like right now, the setup with the podcast, you're not forced to do this. You chose to do this, right? You have the mentality as such, I want to do something to shed light on people in the community.
Yeah.
So that takes an extra oomph. Not everybody's going to do that. Not everybody's going to set up the equipment, set up the mics, take the time to reach out to people and get them for interviews and whatnot and research it. That's going to take effort. So you're not even above average in that regard. You're great in that regard. So for anybody that's looking for a mentality shift, just remember it's not easy because, again, we're all conditioned to be average. And when you're around a bunch of people that are conditioned that way, as we all are, you're going to start feeding off that energy. So sometimes it takes some self-independence to get yourself to a certain level.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying all that because it is a lot of work and it's good to be acknowledged. So when you had your mind shift, change your goals, you're getting to the end of senior year, you get accepted into Syracuse, right? So at that point, did you know like, hey, here's what I want to do, or you're still like, I want to go there and then
I know what I want to do. Okay. Yeah, I know some people like to explore and whatnot. I knew I wanted to be a sports broadcaster on television. I knew it's all about being process oriented. I know what the end goal is, right? Be one of the biggest sports broadcasters in the world. But my biggest weakness as a person, I'm always looking ahead and not staying where my feet are. So one of the biggest things I have to work on as a person is being process-oriented, even going back to high school. So the goal is to be a big-time sports broadcaster. But what are the things I have to do to get there? Okay, at Syracuse, you have to take part in the radio stations, TV stations. Okay, did that. Early morning calls, grinding as much as you can, getting involved as much as possible. All right, you're going to transfer to Hofstra University sophomore year? Great. You're 10 minutes away from home. You still have the same goal. What do you have to do to get to where you want to be? Network your butt off, have a whole lot of internships. I had a list of goals. Some of them I checked off. Some of them I'm upset I didn't check off. But at the end of the day, what were you going to do to get to the place you want to be? It's all about having an insatiable appetite for success, as I like to call it. And that's what I had as I went through college and even still now.
How'd you feel when you're like, I'm at Syracuse, this is my dream school, this is what I want to do, and you had to make a decision like, well, it's not going to happen here anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it sucked.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's the Mecca, and I'm going to Hofstra University, which, nothing against Hofstra, but it's not a Syracuse, it's not a Northwestern, it's not an Arizona State, it's not a USC, it's not one of these big-time journalism schools, so it's going to take a bit more to get to where I want to be. For example, Syracuse has shows 6 or 7 days a week, if not even more, right? Hofstra has a TV show once every 2 weeks, the news broadcast, and that TV station is student-operated from the standpoint of, if we're not partying on a Friday or Saturday, I'm not friends with you, you're not going to choose me for the show.
Okay.
That happened a lot at Hofstra. There was a bunch of student politics and whatnot. Now, thankfully, there was a radio station at Hofstra, WRHU, that was student-operated, not student-run. The difference, if I have a problem, I go to the adults. The adults sort it out for me. I had a great support base at Hofstra. The adults, my network at Hofstra, I'll put it up against any student's network anywhere in the country. Just the support base I had, the way they advocated for me, the opportunities they got for me, and put me on a path towards success that, to be honest, early sophomore year, early junior year, I didn't think that was going to be the case. So I had my goal to be a sports broadcaster, but there was certainly some doubt that I would be able to get there when I got to Hofstra.
I think a lot of people too, there is a lot of like on the person to like do things, but there's a lot to be said for a support system, coaches, teachers, professors, like all those things where maybe in whatever instance, maybe that person helped you 5%, but that was a big 5% of whatever needed to be done. Or maybe some people do 90%, but that support system continues. In your case, maybe you seem like you knew exactly what you do, but in some cases, maybe where there is none, you're like, well, I guess I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go do something else.
Exactly. You know? And to your point about mentors, there's this preconceived notion that you guys as the educators, the coaches, the adults have to mentor us, which is, of course, part of your job, but we have to seek the mentorship. My first TV internship was NBC4 New York. It was the spring of 2021. And there was a big cafeteria at 30 Rockefeller Center. After my shift, I would make a spreadsheet. All right, markets, as the market system I was talking about, city number 80 to city number 20, I believe. I made a list of the ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox affiliate, the news directors in every single city there, and I researched their emails. I would send out emails all spring, all summer long. I was there at NBC from January to August, so 8 months they extended me. And I'll just reach out to people seeking mentorship because at that point I'm a sophomore. I'm not necessarily looking for a job yet, but it's good to build those relationships. So through that system, National Association of Black Journalists I'm a part of, that was a great system too. I met some people along the way, other people my age that were doing other things across the country. Were connected through different programs, reaching out to them, all of that. And plus, if you can't help me, you know somebody who can help me. So building that circle early on allowed me to have a wide net of mentors that are really across the country. So that helped a lot.
That's important too. That last thing you said is if you can't help me, someone you know may be able to help me. Because I said it a few episodes ago when I was talking to some high school kids, like just be a good person to everyone you meet.
Exactly.
You don't have to be friends. You don't have to be. You don't have to go out. But if you say hello to your friend's dad or your friend's mom when you're over there and you're nice to them, and maybe you only interacted 2 or 3 times, but you know they know you're their kid's friend, then maybe they can help you with something as you get older. Like it's just be nice, and it's not always going to happen. There's people that are going to not like you, and well, whatever. I guess that
especially in this industry, everybody has an opinion. You know, some people, because I try to anchor and report in a very creative way. I'm a creative person on air, or at least I try to be. So some people like that. Some people like the average newsman who's just gonna, stand up in front of the camera and just say the words on a prompter. That's fine too. If you're like that, that's okay. But everybody's always gonna have an opinion. But it's a matter of having people that you can, not necessarily are gonna hype you up, because I don't want advice from my parents who are gonna tell me I'm good every time. But I want advice from mentors who are gonna tell me, all right, this is what you need to work on. This is what you do well. This is what you do not so well. Because being self-aware is also very important. And when people hear self-aware, they think, what you need to work on. Well, if you only think about what you need to work on, you're not necessarily self-aware. You're just narcissistic, because you should also think about the things that you're great at. That's also part of being self-aware. So when you have both sides of the coin, that allows you to get better at your craft.
You mentioned your parents. That's just a parent thing, and I'll do it with my children. When you came to them and said, "This is what I want to do," what were they?
They're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, even looking back, I'm not a very reflective person. Like I hate or for like when something happens, I want to go on to the next thing. Okay. But I'm on a podcast, so I'm going to do it. My parents were great. They let me do whatever I want from the standpoint of they knew I wasn't going to act out or anything, right? If I wanted to get involved with gangs and get involved with crime, would it have been easy to do that? Yeah, because my parents would have let me per se. But I didn't do that. And my parents knew I wasn't like that. They knew I wasn't drinking and smoking and staying out till 3 a.m. when I shouldn't be. So they gave me the freedom. If I got to stay at studio until 11 p.m., they're fine with that. If I got to go to an internship, there are a bunch of internships in New York City where my shift, I was at ABC 7 in New York, the sports department. My shift was 7 p.m. to 11 p.m., if not earlier to 11 p.m. Ends at 11 p.m., I take the train, delays, I don't get back home till 1:30. I'm so tired after that day. Sometimes I would sleep past my stop, and I end up on the other side of it would happen. I end up on the other side of Long Island. There's no trains for like an hour in this random place I'm in, so I have to Uber all the way back to the train station where my car is at, and then get in my car and go home. My parents don't mind because they know that everything is leading to the next thing. And you know, they can search my name on Google and they see like all the stuff I'm doing, and they're like, wow, he's really, you know, he's making his time useful. He's not just acting out. You know, he's building up his resume. He's making connections and all that. So, yeah, my parents, to their credit, they're strict from the standpoint of when I was younger, if I had a bad progress report, that meant bad things. But as I got older and college became, especially in this field, grades don't matter, believe it or not. I mean, you want a 3.0, fine, go for it. But the content matters more than I've never been asked about my grades in any interview related to this industry. Now, I took school seriously because you want the degree, but the content matters more than anything. My parents saw that I was getting the content, and that allowed me to have as much freedom as I did to do the things I did.
You know, my parents treated me very much the same. You know, in high school, I didn't have a curfew, but they knew, like, well, his friends have curfews, so he's got to be in a house somewhere by this time, right? But, you know, it was like, yeah, you're fine. You can go do this or you can go do that. Now, I did have an older brother who had, you know, he was addicted to drugs and all that stuff. So they were focused on that, which could lead, you know. But again, I could have, while they were focused over here, I could have done whatever I wanted. They wouldn't know what was going on, you know. But they knew me and they knew that this is what I was going to do. And my friends were really good. And look, if we didn't have a relationship, I wouldn't be in my parents' basement right now with this podcast, right? So the reason I bring it up for parents is because a lot of parents can get bogged down in like you should do this, you should go to college, this is what you should do. And it's good to hear when parents are like, awesome, we're excited for you, you know, that's however we can help, we'll help, you know, like because it makes me feel good when parents do that.
And it takes a lot of self-awareness and self-discipline to have parents like that, because knowing that you can essentially do whatever you want, you have to make sure you're doing the right things. And even, like, my parents are from Ghana, West Africa. African parents are strict, right? And African parents, you know, there are not many Ghanaians in journalism. So my parents are always like, or especially my mom, she's like, when are you coming back to New York? When are you coming, not to visit, but to work there? And I'm like, you got to work your way up, right? To go from Toledo to New York. I think one person has done it. His name was probably Rob Powers. I think he used to anchor back in the day here, or somebody in Toledo.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, went from WTVG to ABC 7 in New York. But that's you have people in Detroit. Think about how competitive this industry is. I'm in market 81 right now. Think about the 80 cities ahead of me. All the people that have grinded. I'm only 23. Think about the people that have been in the industry longer than I've been alive. They're trying to get back to New York. So let's tell my mom, like, it's going to take time. Right? I don't believe in luck per se, but it's going to take a certain timing. A job has to be available. The news director has to like me. More likely than not, the news director has to know who I am prior to the job even opening, which is why networking is so important. I never apply for a job without the person knowing me beforehand. I try to make sure as many people in the industry know who I am before a job even opens, whether that's a year, 5 years, 10 years down the line. So I tell my mom it's a process. It's a process. But, you know, it's definitely a goal of mine to get to New York, not because it's the biggest market, but because I want my mom to be able to watch me, not on streaming, but on linear, in the TV, in our basement, and wake up and see her son on television. So that'll be cool.
You know, well, first of all, I was shocked by your age. I thought you were older. How you present yourself, the things you do on television, the things like I see you do, it's you seem like you have a bunch of experience.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
when you
I've been blessed.
Shit.
I've been blessed with a lot of great mentors, and especially growing up in New York and having all the internships I did. You get to learn from so many people.
Okay.
A lot of different perspectives. You take a little bit from everybody, and you formulate your own opinion. So when I give people advice about the industry, or when I talk about the industry, it comes from a perspective of working around some of the best people. And yeah, I'm 23, I'm young. I don't necessarily have the experience that other people do, but where I make up with it is working with the people who do have the experience. And every time somebody says, tell me about yourself, I end it off by saying the same thing. I'm a product of people pouring in time, energy, sometimes literal money into me to get me to where I am. And when people do that, you owe them by your own success. And you're never going to go someplace, you're never going to achieve something without thanking the tons of people that have helped you along the way. If I had a list right now of everybody that has helped me, we'd be here for probably 3 hours. Just me naming people, because so many people have poured into me over the years and continue to pour into me. So yeah, it's nice to be young still and to know as much as I do, but I don't know as much as I do without the myriad of people that I've learned from and continue to learn from over the years.
Yeah, and that's in my job. Like I run a park, and my staff does all the work for the most part. Sometimes I'll be out there and help them if they need help, but I don't know everything, and they know. Like, do I know everything about their jobs? No, but what I do know is if they'll come up to me with a question. If I don't know the answer, I was like, I don't know, but it's my job to find out, so I'll find out for you. Also, I'll say, I love being able to tell them, like, hey, can you show me how to do this? Because I don't know how to do this. So in their brain, they're like, oh, okay, like I know how to do this. He doesn't, but I'm going to show him. You know, it's just we're fallible as humans, and you know, I don't know everything, but it is. It's good. I love knowledge, and that's why I do this podcast. Like, just find out about people, find out about things and jobs and what they nerd out about, all this stuff. It's the more things I can know, for me, the better. And some of it's just fun. I like to do it, and some of it I actually need to do for certain things. And you know, but to hear you be like, all right, here's all the stuff I've been doing. Again, like seeing what you do is great, but then always thinking those people like. I didn't get here by myself. And here's all the people, and I'm sure they're especially in that industry, just watching TV shows and other things that may, you know, put more emphasis on the relationships where there's people like, well, I'm going here and I'm leaving all you guys behind.
That's what I'm saying.
That happens.
You got to have gratitude. You got to have gratitude, and there's so much to learn out there. One of my, I don't want to call it a pet peeve. It's kind of like a joking pet peeve. But when I show somebody a story, a mentor of mine, and they give me something that I should have thought about but never thought about, I'm like, I get so mad at myself because I'm like, how didn't I think of that beforehand? I was in a convention, National Association of Black Journalists convention in August. It was in Cleveland, and I'm meeting with so many different news directors, so many different bosses, executives from different spots, and they're all giving me ideas. They're like, oh yeah, switch this around, and maybe you could have got this person to speak to, or maybe the sound could have been lower here. I'm just like, as I'm editing this story months ago, how didn't I think of this stuff? And it's like, that tells me that I have so much more to learn. I want to get to the point where I can watch a story of mine, analyze it, and like clockwork, know exactly what I have to fix. And that, along with never being the most experienced person in a room, I'm sure in 40 years, if I'm doing this by the blessing of God, I'm going to be the most experienced person in the room. But I always want to have people to learn from. I want people to watch and say, wow, okay, so how can I take what you're doing and bring it to my game? You know, so those type of things. It's kind of an iron sharpen iron, except I'm not the same iron that you are, but I'm trying to get to the same type of iron that you are, if that makes sense.
And that's what's good about, like, even with the podcasting or what you do is that even in 40 years, like, you may be the most experienced person, but things change so much with whatever software or now AI. Like, all these things are always changing. So if you're not adapting, you're not going to be doing it.
That's what I try to do now. That's what I try to do now. When you watch my stuff, I try to be as creative as possible. Because essentially, when you watch 99% of local news stations, the sports department, we're all doing the same things. It's a guy or gal in front of a camera. We're reading. We're doing highlights or whatnot, and then maybe we show a soundbite of your son or daughter for 30 seconds. What I try to do, I try to be a bit more creative with things, right? So, for example, Anthony Wayne, or actually, no, you're a Perrysburg guy, so I'll use a Perrysburg example.
Thank you.
Emma Ogdal, Camille Francis, you know, two of the best soccer players in the area. They're always a great interview. So what did I do with them? So at the beginning of the season, I sat down with them for a game of Uno.
Okay.
So I brought 3 cameras, and we just we were playing Uno as I was interviewing them. Like, hey, draw 4. We laughed a little bit. Hey, what are you looking forward to this season? Camille broke out. I think she was all American as a sophomore and all that. I asked her about that. Coming back. You guys trying to make it to the Final Four again, which it's not your average interview because we're here playing cards while doing it.
Yeah.
So it's something that I don't think you'd see anywhere else. So having that creative flair, being a creative person on air, and the way we introed it too, we had a picture of them and we had their stats from last year and everything. Being that creative or having that creative vision is something that I think should be the future of the industry. I love creative journalists, but you don't see that everywhere in sports. You just see, as I said, the people that just Perrysburg beat Anthony Wayne 28-7 today in football, which is okay.
Again, it's information.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm a young guy. I try to be as engaging as possible, and that comes in a myriad of ways, different ways that you can make it happen.
Does it ever get you in trouble? Like, not in trouble, but where it's like, hey, why are you doing that?
My boss likes it.
I'm sure they know you by now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They know how I like to rock, and I mean, it's less of getting in trouble. Sometimes it hits and sometimes it misses, right? If you're going to put all this effort into something, you better not stumble over your words. It better be clear as day. And it's hit a lot. I think it has probably a 95% hit rate when I try to do something creative. But sometimes when I stumble or sometimes when a camera shot is not the best, sometimes it doesn't work out, but you learn. Right? And I consume a lot of media. I'm a student of the game more than anything.
Okay.
I'll watch a guy in Denver. I'll watch a guy in LA, watch a guy in Detroit, watch a gal in Detroit, and try to see, all right, what are you doing that's so creative that I could bring to my game? For example, I interned at ABC7 New York, as I said before. They did a segment 2 days ago. They did Spotify Wrapped came out.
Yeah.
And they did a Sportify Wrapped. And I was like, man, that is so brilliant. I want to do that now. So I'm like, okay, your top female artist listened to is Emma Ogdal. Why? Because she scored a bunch of goals.
Yeah.
Right? Your top listened to song, was Tori Trzynski's Save or whatever. Or, so those type of creative things is just so needed in the industry. And I'm the guy who wants to elevate it to that level and bring that to anywhere I'm at. So.
When you did that Uno thing, did you do that before?
No.
Okay,
no.
so
I did Connect 4 a few times.
Okay.
Beforehand, I think I did Connect 4 with Charlie Gardner over at Anthony Wayne,
Okay.
Aiden Sloan over at Springfield, but Uno, we have this dynamic duo for Perrysburg.
Yeah.
Why not do a card game? So
Yeah,
that was the first time that was the only time I did that actually. So I mean, maybe it's one and done. We'll see. But that was a lot of fun. That was a blast.
I think the hardest part would be because Uno you have to talk a little bit, like, hey, draw 4, or hey, what color is it? And so you're commentating on the game, but also you have to think all right, how do I play these cards? And also you have to interview people.
That's what I'm saying. It is hard. It took a lot of editing because there were points where we're just laying down cards, not talking.
Okay.
And then there are points where I would just throw in a question in there.
Yeah.
And then there's points where we're laughing because somebody put a draw 4. Emma was like, yeah, thanks, Camille, in a sarcastic way. That was dope because you want that. You never know how it's going to go because it's a fresh idea and you have a vision, but again, a lot is so dependent on the athlete or coach that you're interviewing. If they're quiet, then it's never going to work. Because when you're playing Uno, it's supposed to be a light, fun interview, and they said they had more fun doing it than a traditional interview.
Nice.
Which was nice because the goal is always to relax the athlete. Anybody I interview, I always tell them we're not live. Anything you want to re-say, feel free.
Yep.
My job's to make you look and sound the best possible. That puts them at ease. I always tell them the hardest question will be, what's your name and how do you spell it? Even if I know them, I always ask them to spell it out, just so we can ease the nerves and all that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it took a lot of editing, and you had to cut it down. Maybe the stack isn't as big 30 seconds later as it would have been because of the editing and all that.
Got it. Okay.
So, but that was a very fun segment. That was very fun.
Well, I have high school kids on here on the podcast, and I always have them come together. Like 2 people.
Yeah.
A football player asked me, or I coach girls basketball, someone will ask me, and I'm like, that's fine. Just find someone to come with, because same thing. Puts them at ease with their friend here. They can, if they don't know an answer to a question, their friend might. It just makes it a lot easier because even for me, I want it to be easy for me too. I want to be able to get questions out and do as much as I can, and I don't edit anything. I tell them like, look, if you say something dumb, I'll take it out. But I typically don't edit anything. But it is I think number one for high school is like they're nervous, man. And
yeah, they're always nervous.
You could be Brady Maxwell, top quarterback, right? And he's going to sit for an interview, and he's still going to be a little bit nervous.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Everybody, and it's weird because even if I'm familiar with the athlete, even if they're familiar with my work, they're still going to get nervous.
Oh yeah,
right, and they're still going to stumble over their words somewhat. And when I interview two people, there's always somebody that talks more. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I could choose any two people, even if it's two people that are seen as generally quiet.
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody who's like overwhelmingly talking more than the other, which is not bad.
Yeah.
We're trying to even it out a little bit, but it's nice the quieter person can feed off and bounce off the other person that's talking a bit more. So that always helps the interview very much.
Selfishly, I like doing interviewing the high school kids too because it makes me work harder for answers and questions because sometimes they'll be like, I'll ask this question and they'll give me a 3-second response. I'm like, all right, well, you mentioned this, but can you elaborate a little bit on that? Or just it makes me a better interviewer, like trying to get all the information out of it.
Yeah, and it also is great because every athlete has a story, right? I don't want. Sometimes we have like just a 30-second soundbite of an athlete, and that's cool. Sometimes that's needed. But if I'm doing a story on an athlete, I want to give you the whole shebang. I want to come to practice. I want to record slow-mo video of you. I want to have nice music at the beginning. I want to frame you up with 2 different cameras. I want to make you look good. Because one thing I noticed, and I told one of our producers this the other day, I enjoy covering, in this city in particular, I enjoy covering high school more than college. Because it seems like the high school parents, high school athletes, high school coaches appreciate it more. So when I do a story, I'm doing it for you guys.
Yeah.
I want you guys to be satisfied. The number one comment I could get is when a parent reaches out to me, they're like, "Oh man, you did such a great job with my daughter or son." Like that. That's all I need. If my boss comes around and he's like, "Yeah, you didn't do a great job with that," but the parent loved it, then I still feel good. Not to undermine my boss, if he wants me to fix something, I'm going to fix something in the story for the next time. But if the parent and athlete loves it, that's the satisfaction I need.
Yeah, that's why I like when people reach out to me to say, "Hey, can I come on the podcast?" Because it's like, yeah, like if you like it that much, or maybe you listened to one episode and it was your friend, but you liked it. Like, yes, come on. I want people. I want people that want to do it. So I like that part of it. But the same thing, like I'll have parents reach out, like, "Hey, thanks for having them on the podcast. They had a lot of fun. It was great to listen to." And I like sitting. This long form is great too. Same thing. Like I could have said, "Hey," I could have set my podcast. We're doing. It's 15 minutes, and all we talk about it's the Nerdball podcast. We talk about what you nerd out about. But I want to be here for an hour, and I want to talk to people for an hour, and I want to get all this information and where'd you grow up, all this stuff. Just like you said, if I'm gonna do a story, I'm gonna do a story.
Yeah.
Like what's the point?
That's the way I feel. I've done a story on a young softball player at Ottawa Hills who underwent a heart transplant. That was a great story. There was a football player at Maumee who went through a cancer battle 15 years ago. Did a story on that. Springfield girls soccer, their final home game, they did an initiative for one of their players' fathers who's in a wheelchair because of a condition that he's going through. Those stories put a lot of pressure on me because you want to do the story justice and you want to make sure you have all the facts and figures and everything, but it's also a thrill because you get to do service to a community, right? You're not going to get the full picture in a 30, 45-second soundbite. Thankfully, we're doing 30-minute shows every day, so I can put a 4-minute story in there. I could put a 5-minute story. No news station is going to put 5 minutes of sports in a newscast. And if they are, that's only going to be in like New York, LA, and one of the bigger cities. So the fact that we get to do that here and we get to put a spotlight on these athletes, on these coaches, on these parents in a way that you probably won't get anywhere else. The content we do, I don't think you're gonna get anywhere else. Just the way we do it, right? That's not a knock on anybody else. I just think we do it in such a unique way that it allows the story to fully be fleshed out, and that's something that's been a blessing ever since I got here. I've only been here 8 months. I got here in March.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to the area. I'm still learning and everything, but building these relationships, doing these type of stories is something that's been great so far.
So you've been here for 8 months, and you mentioned at the beginning, you're like, all right, this is the 81st market. I came from the 40-something market in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
Why'd you come from there to here?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that this was a sports network. I mean, I was only in Grand Rapids for 3 months. Okay. I should have been there for much longer, but things didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
Okay.
So when this job opened up, it's like, all right, sports network, 30-minute shows, long-form television, plus you get to host 3.5 hours of Football Friday, or not Football Friday, that's TOL show. Gameday Nation. Gameday Nation. It's called Football Friday everywhere else, but Gameday Nation is what we call it. on Fridays, 3.5 hours. And then basketball yesterday was our first show, basketball. So that was great.
Yeah.
And that opportunity gave me the opportunity to have a lot of reps. Because remember, when you're on a local news station, you're not working with analysts. You're not going out and interviewing coaches for 5 minutes. You're getting quick sound bites. So it always goes back to the quick sound bites because that's what we're most accustomed to when we're watching local television. But here in this position, I get to bring a coach and a player in the studio nearly every week and do a 5-minute interview for the show. I get to go out into the field and spend 2 days putting together a story. Now, granted, we do have those quick sound bites when I'm at a signing day. I was at Perrysburg signing day a few weeks ago when you're at Anthony Wayne signing day or Springfield signing day, but I get to exercise so many muscles. I get to talk to so many people. Oh, you need somebody who can report from post-game? All right, we get to do that here. You need somebody that can work with an analyst? Oh, we could do that here. You need somebody that can host a show? Or we could do that here. You need somebody that does baseball, softball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, football? Oh, we do that here. So all of that, because at the end of the day, I'm going to have to make a reel eventually, which is just a montage of all my best moments. And to have that type of versatility, I know even at this age, having that versatility is something that I think, because the biggest question in this industry, how do you separate yourself from everybody else? That's been the number one question I've tried to answer since my junior year of high school. Still haven't answered it. But doing the things that we're doing here at BCSN, that brings me closer to that answer, at least in the Toledo market.
Sure. Well, it's always good when people are like, yeah, I'm going to pick Toledo, like, because everyone always talks about, oh, Toledo's this or Toledo's that. I work in Toledo. The park that I run is Glass City Metro Park on the east side of Toledo. Even some people are like, oh, it's on the east side. Like, look, you guys are not. If you're not in Toledo, you just hear the bad things, sure.
Yeah.
But when people are like, oh, I'm going there because that's where I can better myself, is in Toledo.
Yeah, but it's also a great area for sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm watching, now, obviously as journalists, we're taught not to root for people, but if Perrysburg girls soccer is going to be in the Final Four, why wouldn't I root for Perry? Like, why wouldn't I want our area team to win it all?
Yeah.
So the fact that you have programs like Perrysburg that has multiple teams that's always going to compete for a state title, the fact that you have Springfield, A-Dub, all of these teams, Central Catholic, as we saw, even though they lost, they still made it there after starting 0-3.
Yeah.
The fact that you have all these type of teams that can compete at a high level, that's an amazing thing to cover, right? You can be in, let's say, Cleveland, Ohio. And, yeah, you have the Cavaliers, you have the Browns and all that, but are your high school sports, do you get to cover NBA Finals runs or Super Bowl runs? Maybe not. But here, getting to cover big-time games, that big-time feel, it's always a thrill. It literally is always a thrill, especially in high school. College, not so much because Toledo and Bowling Green, they're not going to the college football playoff. It is what it is. But to cover high school sports here, I would rival this is one of the best cities for high school sports anywhere because you constantly have teams that are competing at the highest level. You constantly have athletes that are going on to D1, and that makes for better storytelling on our end. When you guys are great, it makes our content even great. And so far, you guys have been great. I started in March, multiple state title runs, multiple state champions, multiple coaches of the years. I was told that we're blessed, that it wasn't this, like a few years ago. So I'm like, I guess I came into some type of golden age because every season I've been here, there's been greatness around.
Yeah.
It's just
you. It's you.
Yeah, it's like, I suppose so. It's just a testament to you guys as players, you guys as coaches, you guys as communities to rally the troops and get yourself to be as great as you guys are now. So, credit to all of you. You guys have made this job fun just off your greatness. I'm always fascinated by how great you guys are. All these great goals and baskets and touchdowns. I'm just like, y'all are dogs out there, man. I'm just like, trust me, when I'm in the newsroom and I'm watching y'all, I'm just like, you guys should hear my reaction to things.
Yeah.
I'm just like, again, when it's Perrysburg versus Springfield, I don't have a rooting interest. But when it's Perrysburg versus Upper Arlington, I'm gonna I want the Yellow Jackets to win. I was devastated. Our cameras didn't specifically show people crying when Perrysburg girls soccer lost, but when you show a wide shot, Perrysburg girls soccer players are walking off camera and their tears. I felt so bad because once you interview Jorge Diaz, once you interview Emma Ogdo, once you interview Camille Francis, I can't help but want you guys to win it all. But the fact that you guys didn't, it hurt me. Obviously, they're going to move on. But I don't want to say distraught, but I was upset. I cover these athletes. They're great people. They deserve it all. They deserve all the success they have. And the fact that they couldn't come home with the title, I mean, that hurts. But, That's what it is. Not to go on a rant about all our coverage, sorry, but
we appreciate that. Don't be sorry for that. We appreciate that because the athletes put in a lot of work and the coaches are putting a lot of work. You know, it is good to be acknowledged. You know, from somebody. So yeah, thank you. What is we talked about? Especially being here, you get to do a bunch of different things and cover a bunch of different sports. What is for you? What is your ultimate? This is This is what I want to do. My ultimate goal here.
Storytell. So, ultimate goal in Toledo or just in the industry?
Just if you can say at some point in your life, this is what I would like to be doing. What is that?
Storytelling to the biggest audience possible.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever you define that to be. You know, the sports media industry nowadays is all about opinions. Right? For better or for worse. I don't think it's necessarily a great thing that anybody could wake up and have an opinion, right? Because back in the day, I'm kind of old school in that regard. You had to earn your way towards having an opinion on something. But now people are not going through the normal channels of being a journalist before having an opinion. But for me, storytelling is always the best part about the industry for me. You ask me for my Mount Rushmore of broadcasters, Jen Latta, Tom Rinaldi are going to be the top two because they're the best storytellers in our industry. And I want to reach where they are. I want to be doing what they're doing, right? Because storytelling is the essence of what we do, whether it's sports news or whatever. We're storytellers. And in sports, I want to give you a story that's going to make you feel something, right? If I'm tossing to an interview, can I make you laugh? If I'm telling you a story about somebody who overcame cancer, is it something that could put a tear in your eye? Just the way that they were able to overcome it. That's what I want to be doing. I want to be telling stories that can make you feel something. Now, if you want me to tell you whether LeBron or Jordan's the GOAT, I can do that. But I don't think there's as much substance there as me telling you about the kid who overcame cancer and is now playing his childhood game.
Yeah.
About the young athlete who somehow has a kid and has to care for them while playing, you know, high school basketball or whatever. Those type of stories is what moves me about the industry. As far as my personal skill set, I feel like that's when I'm in my bag the most is when I get to put two cameras in front of you, interview maybe 3-4 other people, sit down and edit it and construct a great story. That is what I want to be doing at the highest level possible, whatever you define that to be, right? Whether that's being the feature reporter on College Game Day, that would be dope, or Big Noon Kickoff, or Monday Night Countdown, or pre-NFL game coverage, all that, right? I want to be able to storytell and do these long-form stories at a higher level. Hosting is fun. We'll have to host a pregame show for something. That'll be great too. But storytelling and sitting down with athletes, coaches, and getting the stories that go beyond the X's and O's, that's what moves me the most at the end of the day.
You ever thought about having a podcast?
I mean, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've thought about it. I mean, I've thought about it. We'll see. I mean, I've thought. All I can say is I've thought about it. You know, it definitely takes commitment.
Sure.
That's what I'm going to say. Because one thing about young people, and obviously for you, said you're nearly 300 episodes, right? So consistency is your thing. You've remained consistent. You're disciplined. But Gen Z, there's a total disconnect between Gen Z and like the rest of the world, right? We tend to be lazier. We tend to want to start things and not finish it. We tend to start things and not thinking about a long-term goal. We just want to be reactionary and not oppose and not necessarily planning things out.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it, I want to have a long-term vision. Like, all right, this is going to be episode 1, but what do I want episode 20 to look like? How do I remain consistent with that? So I think for young people, we're so caught up in the moment, right? Content creation. People like to interview people on the street and then automatically think they're journalists, which I think it goes much more than that. So, you know, I've thought about it. Let's put it that way. I've thought about it.
Well, look, I don't know if you have anything with BCSN, but if there's ever anything I can do to help, or if you want to do something,
absolutely.
Let me know.
Absolutely. Anything you need, you let me know. I mean, it's always the fact that, because Toledo essentially is a small community, at least compared to the place, like I've been for internships or trips or whatnot. I've been in San Francisco, Minneapolis, Hoboken, New Jersey, Birmingham, Alabama, Las Vegas, Nevada, and then, of course, growing up in New York. You know, there are some bigger communities, right? But every time I talk to a coach here, even I was doing a show with Deion Thompson and Rhett Boyd yesterday, they're like, everybody knows each other here.
Yeah.
Literally everybody knows each other. On Long Island, I wouldn't know the coach in my town where I grew up, Baldwin, wouldn't know the coach that's 40 minutes away.
Okay.
But here, Perrysburg knows a Finley guy knows the Anthony Wayne guy knows a Springfield guy knows the Notre Dame Academy guy. Everybody knows each other. It's crazy here. I'm saying, like, the way you guys are so tight-knit, and hearing you guys like recall how things were back in the day, like the old city league used to have the Catholic leagues. I was like, wow. Yeah. It's like in basketball, it used to be a big deal to get to the city league Final Four. The joint used to be jumping back then. I'm like, wow. I can't imagine growing up in that environment, but it's great that you have this podcast because, again, it's shedding light on the community. You get to bring a bunch of community faces in here. People are going to pay attention because, as I said, Toledo's tight-knit.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's probably watching that you don't even know is watching, but it's like you'd probably be surprised that they're watching because it's just that tight-knit of a community. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long I'll be here. That's the thing, too. Like, I'm trying to stay where my feet are.
Yeah.
I could be here 20 years. I could be here 2 years. Who knows? All right? I'll just take wherever, my will takes me and the Lord's will takes me. But, to the fact that you have this type of community spotlight with the podcast, it's a great thing. So anything that you need, you let me know.
Hey, look, if ever you're like, you know what, I don't have a podcast, but I think you'd be a good podcast guest on Lorenzo's.
There you go. That's exactly what I'd say. That's exactly what I'd say because that ease. Some podcasts that I listen to, it's like, you try to formulate. And this is something I got to work on too because I don't do like these long form interviews, but when I do sit down with somebody, I script out like every question.
Yeah.
But I want it to be more natural. Like even here, we're just like feeding off each other's vibe, which is like, this interview right now is better than any interview I've conducted while I've been in Toledo because it's more formulaic and everything. So, I mean, if I could get to that point, I mean, I'll probably watch this back, not to hear what I said, but just hear how you ask the questions and everything. Just trying to not copy it per se, but like,
well, you're always watching film. You're always learning.
Yeah, exactly.
People,
right? Try to emulate it and bring it to my game. So
that's the doing this is the hardest part. Is like, all right, I don't want to sound dumb, right? So I want to make sure your episode is good, and the next one, and the ones I've done before, like so always building. And I don't listen to my podcast very often.
You don't?
No,
man. I watch everything I do. Yeah, I cringe. I cringe still, and I post everything I do on YouTube because. In 10 years or so, it'll be nice to go back to 2021, and it's like, all right, so my reel back then was before I got Invisalign. I was slushing my words and everything, and I was too close to the camera. I was tripping, but now I know hopefully in 10 years that I'm way better than I am now. But to keep those things up on YouTube, again, I'm not a reflective person, but when I'm bored on an off day and I'm not playing video games and I'm just scrolling through my YouTube history, I'm like, man, look how far we came, man. I mean, it's just crazy.
I'll listen to them every once in a while because I listen to podcasts a lot at work. So I'll listen to mine and just to see, because sometimes I have a friend, I mentioned his name several times. His name is George. Went to high school together. He lives in California now, and he listens to every episode. And he'll text me like, "Oh, that was good. I like that person. Oh, I like that question. Oh, how come you didn't ask this question?" Like he's a real good idea person, and he'll like tell me things, or he'll say like, I don't think that was it wasn't a good interview. Like he straight with me, and I like that part of it. So I do have someone that will reach out, but sometimes I'll listen and I will say like, ooh, that wasn't good. Or
that could have been better.
Yeah, or on the other side, like you said, like, ooh, that was a very good interview. Like it was fun and I did a good job and that kind of stuff.
I will say it's never as bad as you think.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I've noticed. Because even when I'm doing a show in the moment, and I'm like, I totally messed that up. But then I listened it back and I was like, I still wouldn't put it on a reel, but it still wasn't as bad as I thought. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you think it's fantastic, maybe it's not as great as you thought. There's a flip side to it. But it's always good to have that type of internal feedback and then feedback from other people. George, I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I really hope you did, because he just said that you keep it straight with him. So keep it straight with him on this one. If I did a bad job, we're gonna have to run it back in a month or so. So I hope you enjoyed it.
He'll let me know. I'll shoot you a message.
Oh yeah, please. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what people think. And I know you post like little clips on TikTok. I'll be curious to see which clips you point out, because I'd like to repost them and everything. But it's always weird being in this seat, because again, I don't reflect.
Yeah.
When great things happen to me, I want to just move on, right? Like let's say I won my Emmy Award today, right? I've always wanted to win an Emmy Award. Okay. That's like a big goal of mine.
Okay.
But let's say I win it tonight. I sleep. I wake up. All right, back to work.
How do I get my next one?
Yeah. That's really it. And that has annoyed people. And that's another thing to people who want to get into the industry and everything. It's a grind, right? People that I've been friends with, anybody that I'm friends with, that I have been friends with since my junior year of high school, people that I've worked with in college, girls that I've dated, girls that I've talked to and almost dated, they know how I approach the industry. Like, this work is, I don't mess around with this stuff. Like, I'm always about the work. I'm always thinking about the industry. I'm always thinking about how to get better. I'm always grinding and whatnot. And to some people, that's a turnoff because, right, you're just like thinking about work 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend people to approach it the way I do, but I know the way I approach it will pay off.
It works for you.
Yeah.
It works for you.
I don't know how it'll pay off.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll pay off, but I think it'll pay off. It just has to. You don't pour all this time and energy for no reason. So
I will say, some advice is celebrate your accomplishments even if it's a day long.
I've heard that time and time again, and mentors get upset with me about it.
Yeah.
It's not I wouldn't call it healthy at all. I'm just telling you that's a weakness of mine.
Yeah.
That's a weakness of mine. I don't like, even when I graduated college.
Yeah.
It's like, did the graduation, took pictures with my mom and all that, and then it's like, I go to sleep, I wake up, and all right, what do we have to do to get ready to go to Grand Rapids? What I have to pack and all that. So I'll try to celebrate my wins.
Again, you don't have to do it for a month, but just like
another take
day.
time to look in the mirror and just be like, man, we really did something great here.
Yeah, because not only obviously the award or certificate or the recognition, whatever that is great, but realize like all the work that went into it. I think that's what's important. I even tell the kids I coach, like, it's okay to celebrate a little bit. And on the other side too, if there's something that went wrong, it's okay to I know you don't reflect, but think about that too, because that's going to help you, going forward.
I think just kind of my mindset with everything has been, I never allow myself to celebrate my achievements, because in my mind it was my obligation to do it. Like my mom and dad didn't come over from Ghana, West Africa, raise me and my 4 siblings strict for no reason.
Yeah.
You're expected to achieve greatness. We didn't put in all this work. You didn't pay thousands of dollars. You're not in student loan debt right now. You're not in financial somewhat crisis with, a low salary and everything to not be working.
Yeah.
So everything I achieve, every great thing, every great piece of content that I put out, I always see it as something that I'm obligated to do, because that's what you're here for. Yeah. That's what you worked for, right? The expectation is that you have a high level of content each and every day. You're expected to win awards. You're expected to have great stories. You're expected to have great packages and great anchoring and great reporting, because this is what you're supposed to be built for. So from that standpoint, because it's expected, because in my mind it's an obligation to do these things, that's why I don't allow myself to celebrate, because like, you're supposed to do this. And when I don't do it, then that's more disappointing than anything, because like, man, you put in all this work just to fumble like that, just to have this low level of content. And great, I'm not perfect, right? I post my best hits on YouTube, but I stumble over my words sometimes. I mess up sometimes. I mispronounce names sometimes, but it is okay. It's a growth process. It's a growth mindset. So, whether that's in the industry or just me personally, clearly, I got a lot of room to grow, and I'm continuing to grow. That's the most important part. So,
absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming out here, man. We're about an hour. I don't want to keep you long.
We're an hour already?
Yeah.
Man, I could go on for enough. Look, Toledo women's basketball is at 2 p.m. I'm going to shoot that game, and that's it. I could change it to my suit real quick.
Look,
yeah, I'm saying like, oh man.
I would 100. I've had long podcasts, but the good thing is you can always come back on.
Yeah. We'll run it back. We'll run it back
because there's a lot of things I want to talk about that I think it's cool that you went that you're on the field at Ohio State Michigan game. Like there's
I was there. We didn't talk about that, did we?
Yeah,
man, it was cold, man. Let me tell you.
Cold.
I couldn't feel my feet. I couldn't feel my hands. Yeah, and then, I was talking about that on the show, like live on the show. Deion Thompson's like, man, he's crying about going to Ohio State Michigan. You got to go to the game. I'm like, yeah, but in New York we would say it's brick outside, right? I should have had my Timbs on. Yeah. I should have had some long johns on. I was like, man, I had 5 layers on, and I was still cold. Yeah. Still cold. I got to bring a hat next time, more hoods. Man, I was cold. That was cold. The game was great, but it was cold. Yeah.
Well, definitely have you back on, man. Again,
please.
Thank you for coming out here, and best of luck. Just having this conversation, you're gonna whatever you deem is successful, you're gonna hit that. Whether it's tomorrow, a year from now, or 10 years from now, keep doing what you're doing, man. It's great.
I appreciate it. I needed this, that's for sure. I mean, having a conversation like this, again, don't like to reflect, but when I have the opportunity to, it's like, man, it's really been a far and long journey. But look where we are now. It's crazy. I remember being in elementary school just like doing stuff. Like I recall exact elementary school moments, and here I am, and I have to worry about bills and taxes and loans, and I'm working a full-time job and doing things. And one thing I will say before we wrap, I have everything I wanted 5 years ago.
Okay.
Like that's the important thing. Everything I wish for. If we did this podcast 5 years ago and I told you all my goals, I have everything I wanted. But now that we're here, now it's time to move on to the next 5 years. What do I want 5 years from now? So having that type of mindset allows you to stay very grounded and know that you have to be patient in the journey and know that your blessings will come. You just gotta wait. Not everybody's journey is the same. So just gotta stay patient, and your time will come.
Well, celebrate the 5 years. For a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll go
absolutely.
To the next 5.
Yes. We'll celebrate.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for downloading this episode of the Nerdball Podcast. If you want to reach out or be on the show, just search the Nerdball Podcast on any social media. If you want to email us, that is thenerdballpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, there's always YouTube, So you can go on there, subscribe to the Nerdball Podcast, and watch the podcast every week. As always, thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Big Daddy Graphics, and Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab for always supporting the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.